My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes the reason people stop respecting us is not because of what we did, but because of what we said. A single careless sentence can slowly weaken the way people see us. Too many words can quietly reduce the value of our presence. Not every thought needs to be spoken, and not every silence is a weakness. In fact, some of the most respected people are those who speak the least but speak with wisdom. Islam teaches us that the tongue can either elevate our dignity or slowly damage it without us even realizing. Today, let us reflect on powerful lessons that will help us protect our respect, strengthen our character, and understand the true power of silence. 1. Too many words reduce the value of your speech. Extended. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest qualities a person can develop is the ability to control their tongue. Many people think respect comes from speaking more, explaining more, and always having something to say in every situation. But the reality is often the opposite. When a person speaks constantly, their words slowly begin to lose their impact. People may still hear the sound of the voice, but they stop truly listening to the message. This happens because the human mind naturally gives more importance to what is limited and meaningful, not what is excessive and constant. Think about anything valuable in life. Rare things are respected because they are not easily available. Gold is valuable because it is limited. Diamonds are precious because they are not found everywhere. If these things were as common as stones on the road, people would not give them importance. In the same way, when a person speaks all the time, their words become too common and people stop noticing their value. But when someone speaks carefully, thoughtfully, and only when necessary, every sentence carries weight and every word leaves an impression. A person who talks too much often does not even realize when their speech becomes unnecessary. They may repeat the same ideas, interrupt others, or try to fill every moment of silence. But silence is not something negative. Silence gives dignity to a person's presence. Silence creates space for reflection. Silence allows others to feel comfortable. And silence gives power to the words that eventually come out. Wise people understand that not every situation requires their opinion. Not every discussion needs their explanation. Not every silence needs to be filled. Sometimes remaining quiet shows greater intelligence than speaking. When a person listens more, they understand more. When they observe more, they learn more. And when they finally speak, their words come from understanding, not from impulse. There is also a difference between speaking to benefit others and speaking just to be noticed. Many people speak simply because they want attention. They want to show knowledge. They want to prove they are right. But respect is not earned by trying to dominate every conversation. Respect is earned when people feel that your words bring value to their thinking, peace to their heart, or clarity to their confusion. When a person becomes known for speaking only when necessary, people naturally begin to pay closer attention to what they say. Even a few sentences can create a deep impact. This is because people recognize that this person does not waste words. They do not speak without purpose. They do not talk just to hear their own voice. Instead, they speak with intention, and that intention gives strength to their speech. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us a principle that is simple yet extremely powerful. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day should speak good or remain silent. This guidance teaches balance. Islam does not tell us to isolate ourselves from people or avoid communication completely. Islam teaches us responsibility in speech. Every word we say has an effect, whether small or large. Words can build relationships, and words can break hearts. Words can spread peace, and words can create conflict. Because of this, a believer learns to think before speaking. Sometimes a person speaks quickly because of emotion and later wishes they had chosen silence. Sometimes a person talks excessively just to avoid an awkward moment, without realizing that silence would have shown more confidence. A calm person who does not rush to speak shows emotional strength. They show self-control. They show maturity. People feel that this person thinks before they speak, and because of this, their words become more respected. Speaking less does not mean a person has less knowledge. In fact, it often shows the opposite. A knowledgeable person understands that not everything needs to be said. They understand that timing is important. They understand that too many words can weaken the effect of an important message. Just as too much noise can make it difficult to hear something valuable, too many words can hide the true meaning of what we want to say. When a person learns to reduce unnecessary speech, they begin to notice a change in how people respond to them. Conversations become more meaningful. People listen with more attention. Advice becomes more appreciated. Even simple words begin to carry more influence. This is because people feel that when this person speaks, there is a reason behind it. Therefore, controlling the tongue is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. It shows discipline. It shows awareness. It shows respect for oneself and for others. When we choose our words carefully, we protect our dignity. When we avoid speaking without purpose, we protect our value. And when we learn the beauty of silence, we discover that fewer words can often create a stronger impact than long speeches without meaning. Meaningful speech increases respect, but careless speech slowly reduces it. A wise believer learns to make every word count, because they understand that the value of speech is not measured by quantity but by sincerity, purpose, and benefit. 2. Talking too much can lead to regret extended. My dear brothers and sisters, among the many things people regret in life, words are often at the top of the list. Actions can sometimes be corrected, mistakes can sometimes be repaired, but words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. The tongue is small, yet its impact can be enormous. A few careless sentences can damage relationships that took years to build. A few emotional words can leave wounds that remain in the heart for a very long time. Many people speak in moments of anger and later wish they had remained silent. When emotions become strong, the tongue often moves faster than wisdom. A person may say things they do not truly mean simply because they feel hurt, misunderstood, or frustrated. But once those words leave the mouth, they cannot be erased. Even if apologies are made, the memory of those words may remain in the hearts of others. Talking too much increases the chances of saying something unnecessary, something hurtful, or something inappropriate. The more we speak without thinking, the greater the possibility that regret will follow. A person who speaks excessively may unintentionally reveal private matters, share information that should have remained hidden, or make promises they later struggle to fulfill. Sometimes a person speaks just to continue the conversation, without realizing that silence would have been more beneficial. Regret often comes when we realize that our words created problems that did not need to exist. An argument may begin with something very small, but unnecessary speech can turn it into something much bigger. A simple misunderstanding can become a serious conflict when too many words are used to defend pride rather than protect peace. Sometimes a person continues speaking just to prove they are right, but in doing so, they damage the relationship instead of protecting it. Wise people understand that not every thought needs to be expressed. Not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every reaction needs to be spoken immediately. Giving yourself time to think before speaking can prevent many regrets. A few moments of silence can protect years of respect. A few seconds of patience can prevent hours, days, or even years of discomfort. One of the signs of maturity is the ability to control speech during emotional moments. When a person feels angry, disappointed, or offended, the desire to respond quickly becomes very strong. But immediate reactions often lead to statements that are later regretted. Silence at such moments is not weakness, it is wisdom. Choosing not to respond immediately gives the heart time to calm down and gives the mind time to choose better words. Many people wish they could go back in time just to stop themselves from saying certain things. They remember moments when silence would have protected their dignity. They remember situations where fewer words would have avoided embarrassment. They remember conversations where speaking less would have preserved peace. The truth is that every word carries responsibility. Speech is not just sound, it is an expression of character. People form opinions about us based on how we speak, what we say, and when we choose to remain silent. A person who speaks carelessly may later feel that their image has been damaged even if they did not intend harm. Talking too much can also lead to sharing information with people who may not have good intentions. Sometimes a person speaks openly about their struggles, plans, or personal matters without realizing that not everyone who listens sincerely cares. Some people may misunderstand, some may judge, and some may spread what they hear. Later, regret appears because something private became public. Another form of regret comes when a person promises something they cannot fulfill. Excessive talking sometimes leads people to make commitments without thinking carefully. They agree quickly, speak confidently, and later realize they cannot deliver what they promised. This can reduce trust and affect how others view their reliability. A wise person develops the habit of asking themselves important questions before speaking. Is this necessary to say? Will these words bring benefit? Could these words cause harm? Will I feel comfortable remembering this conversation later? These simple reflections help protect a person from future regret. Silence is often a shield that protects dignity. Silence gives time to think. Silence allows emotions to settle. Silence prevents the tongue from creating problems that the heart will later struggle to fix. Many conflicts would never have started if unnecessary words had been avoided. Learning to control speech does not mean becoming distant from people. It means becoming responsible with communication. It means speaking when there is goodness in the message and remaining silent when speech brings no benefit. This balance creates peace in relationships and stability in character. A person who reduces unnecessary speech notices that life becomes calmer. Fewer misunderstandings occur, fewer arguments develop, fewer apologies become necessary. The heart feels lighter because there are fewer regrets to carry. Therefore, remember that one moment of patience can prevent years of regret. One decision to remain silent can protect many relationships. One thoughtful pause before speaking can save a person from embarrassment, conflict, and emotional pain. Wise speech brings respect, but careless speech often brings regret. A believer learns to protect the tongue because they understand that words cannot be taken back, but silence rarely needs an apology. 3. Speaking less makes you appear more confident. My dear brothers and sisters, many people believe that confidence is shown by speaking a lot, expressing every opinion, and constantly proving themselves in front of others. They feel that if they remain quiet, people may think they are weak, shy, or unsure of themselves. But in reality, true confidence is not measured by how much a person speaks. True confidence is reflected in calmness, balance, and self-control. A confident person does not feel the need to speak in every moment. They do not feel uncomfortable when silence appears. They do not rush to respond just to show their presence. Instead, they take their time to understand the situation, listen carefully, and speak only when their words add value. When a person constantly speaks, interrupts others, or tries to dominate conversations, it can create the impression that they are trying too hard to prove themselves. Sometimes, excessive talking shows nervousness rather than confidence. It may show that a person is afraid of being unnoticed, afraid of silence, or afraid that others may not recognize their ability. But confidence does not need constant display. Confidence is stable. Confidence is patient. Confidence is comfortable even in quiet moments. A calm person who listens more than they speak often creates a strong presence without saying much. People begin to notice their composure. They observe their patience. They respect their ability to control their reactions. This type of personality naturally attracts attention because it reflects emotional strength. Speaking less allows a person to observe more. Observation increases understanding, and understanding improves the quality of speech. When someone carefully listens to others, they gain knowledge about different perspectives, emotions, and experiences. This helps them respond wisely instead of reacting quickly. Their words become more accurate, more meaningful, and more effective. Confidence is not about having an answer for everything. Confidence is about knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. A person who feels secure within themselves does not feel pressured to fill every quiet moment with unnecessary words. They are comfortable allowing others to express themselves. They are comfortable giving space in conversation. This behavior shows maturity and self-assurance. Sometimes the most respected person in a gathering is not the one who speaks the most, but the one who speaks with clarity and purpose. When a person speaks less, people become more curious about what they will say. Their words gain importance because they are not excessive. Each sentence becomes more noticeable because it is not surrounded by unnecessary speech. Speaking less also helps a person avoid mistakes in communication. The more we talk, the greater the chance of saying something incorrect, confusing, or inappropriate. But when a person chooses words carefully, they reduce misunderstandings. Their message becomes clearer because it is not hidden behind too many explanations. A confident person does not fear pauses in conversation. Silence does not make them uncomfortable. They understand that silence can be peaceful. Silence allows thoughts to organize. Silence gives the heart time to reflect. Silence allows the mind to choose better words. Many successful and respected individuals are known for speaking with simplicity. Their speech is clear, direct, and meaningful. They do not complicate conversations with excessive explanations. They focus on quality rather than quantity. This makes people feel that their words carry wisdom. Confidence also means not feeling the need to respond to everything. Sometimes people say things that do not require an answer. Sometimes situations do not require an opinion. A confident person understands that silence can sometimes be the strongest response. By not reacting to every comment, they show control over their emotions and independence in their thinking. When a person develops the habit of listening more, they also become better at understanding people. They recognize feelings behind words. They notice details others may miss. They gain insight into situations before making judgments. This deeper understanding improves relationships and increases respect from others. Speaking less also prevents unnecessary arguments. Many conflicts begin because people speak quickly without fully understanding the situation. A confident person prefers clarity over speed. They prefer wisdom over reaction. They prefer peace over proving a point. Another important benefit of speaking less is that it gives a person time to refine their thoughts. Instead of expressing incomplete ideas, they organize their message and present it clearly. This increases the effectiveness of communication. People appreciate speech that is thoughtful rather than rushed. Confidence is also reflected in body language and behavior. A calm and composed person does not need to raise their voice to be heard. Their presence itself communicates stability. Their patience communicates strength. Their silence communicates self-respect. When a person speaks less, they also avoid unnecessary attention. They do not expose every thought, every plan, or every feeling. They protect their privacy and maintain dignity. This balance makes others view them as disciplined and self-aware. It is important to understand that speaking less does not mean becoming distant or unfriendly. It simply means avoiding unnecessary speech. It means choosing meaningful conversations instead of constant talking. It means speaking when there is benefit and remaining silent when there is no purpose. People often trust those who speak thoughtfully. They feel comfortable sharing their thoughts because they know they will be heard. Listening builds trust, and trust builds strong relationships. A confident person understands that communication is not only about expressing ideas but also about understanding others. When you develop control over your speech, you begin to feel more peaceful internally. There is less pressure to impress others. There is less anxiety about saying the right thing quickly. There is more time to reflect and respond wisely. True confidence grows when a person becomes comfortable with themselves. They do not depend on constant conversation to feel valued. They know their worth does not decrease because of silence. Instead, silence often increases respect. Therefore, remember that confidence does not come from speaking more. Confidence comes from speaking with purpose. Confidence comes from choosing words carefully. Confidence comes from being calm even when others are loud. A person who speaks wisely gains attention naturally. A person who speaks less often gains respect silently. And a person who controls their tongue shows strength that cannot be easily shaken. Speaking less does not reduce your importance. It increases the power of your presence. It makes your words more meaningful. It allows your character to shine without unnecessary effort. True confidence is quiet, stable, and balanced. It does not need constant expression. It simply needs wisdom, patience, and self-control. 4. Too much talking can create unnecessary problems. Extended. My dear brothers and sisters, many of the problems people face in their lives are not always caused by actions but by words. A person may intend no harm, yet excessive talking can create complications that were never meant to exist. Sometimes we speak without realizing how our words may be understood, interpreted, or even misused by others. A simple sentence spoken carelessly can create confusion, tension, or misunderstanding that could have easily been avoided through silence. When a person talks too much, they often share more information than necessary. They may reveal their plans before they are ready, discuss personal matters with people who do not need to know, or express emotions openly without considering the consequences. Not everyone who listens sincerely wishes good for you. Some people misunderstand your intentions. Some interpret your words negatively. Some pass your words to others in a different way. And sometimes information shared without thought can lead to unnecessary stress. There are moments in life when privacy is protection. Not every detail of your life needs to be shared with everyone. Not every success needs to be announced. Not every difficulty needs to be explained to those who are not involved. Speaking too much about personal matters can invite opinions that may disturb your peace. When too many people know too much about your life, too many suggestions and judgments begin to appear. This can create confusion in the heart and distraction in the mind. A wise person understands that silence can protect many blessings. When plans are shared too early, they can be affected by doubt, negativity, or discouragement from others. Sometimes people unintentionally discourage us because they do not fully understand our vision. Sometimes they project their fears onto us. Sometimes they speak from limited experience. Excessive discussion about your goals can weaken motivation because constant explanation drains emotional energy. Too much talking can also lead to misunderstandings. Words do not always carry the same meaning for every listener. Something said in a light manner may be taken seriously. Something said as a joke may be misunderstood as disrespect. Something said casually may be remembered for a long time. When speech increases, the chances of misinterpretation also increase. Another problem created by excessive talking is the possibility of entering arguments that could have been avoided. Many conflicts begin with unnecessary discussions. A small disagreement can grow into a larger dispute simply because both sides continue speaking without pausing to understand each other. When emotions become involved, speech often becomes stronger, and words may be used to defend pride rather than seek truth. Silence in such situations can prevent unnecessary damage. Silence gives time for emotions to calm down. Silence prevents the tongue from saying something that may hurt someone's heart. Silence allows a person to think carefully before responding. Sometimes the best way to win an argument is not to continue it. Talking too much can also reduce clarity in communication. When a person explains excessively, the main point may become hidden inside too many details. The listener may feel confused instead of guided. But when speech is simple and focused, the message becomes easier to understand and remember. Excessive speech can also affect how others perceive reliability. A person who frequently speaks about many ideas, promises, or intentions may later struggle to fulfill everything they have mentioned. This can reduce trust, even if the person had good intentions. Speaking less helps maintain credibility because fewer words create fewer expectations. There are also situations where too much talking exposes emotions in ways that may later feel uncomfortable. Speaking openly in moments of sadness, anger, or frustration can sometimes reveal feelings that a person later wishes had remained private. Emotional moments often pass, but spoken words remain remembered. Islam teaches balance and modesty not only in actions but also in speech. Modesty in speech means choosing words carefully, avoiding unnecessary exposure of personal matters, and protecting dignity through thoughtful communication. A believer understands that words carry responsibility. Each sentence can affect relationships, reputation, and emotional well-being. When a person learns to reduce unnecessary talking, many problems naturally decrease. Fewer misunderstandings occur because speech becomes clearer. Fewer conflicts arise because emotional reactions become controlled. Fewer regrets appear because fewer unnecessary words are spoken. Silence also helps a person observe the behavior of others. When you speak less, you notice more. You understand people's intentions more clearly. You recognize who listens sincerely and who only waits for their turn to speak. This awareness protects you from trusting the wrong people with personal information. Speaking less also allows a person to protect their energy. Conversations require emotional and mental effort. When a person talks excessively, they may feel mentally tired without realizing the reason. Reducing unnecessary speech helps maintain focus on important matters rather than being distracted by endless discussion. Sometimes, people feel pressure to continue conversations even when there is no real purpose. They fear silence may appear awkward, but silence is not always uncomfortable. Silence can be peaceful. Silence can create comfort. Silence can show confidence and emotional stability. It is also important to remember that not every comment deserves a response. Some remarks are better ignored. Some criticisms are better left unanswered. Responding to everything can create unnecessary tension. Silence in certain situations shows strength and control. A wise person chooses carefully what to share and what to keep private. They do not reveal everything they think. They do not expose every emotion they feel. They do not discuss every plan they make. This protects their peace and keeps their focus strong. Too much talking can complicate simple situations. Silence often simplifies them. Silence removes confusion. Silence prevents misunderstanding. Silence protects dignity. When speech is controlled, problems reduce naturally. Relationships become calmer. Communication becomes clearer. Thoughts become more organized. Decisions become more stable. Learning to speak less does not mean disconnecting from others. It means communicating responsibly. It means sharing beneficial words and avoiding unnecessary complications. It means protecting relationships from damage caused by careless speech. Many people experience relief when they begin to reduce excessive talking. They notice fewer misunderstandings. They notice fewer conflicts. They notice fewer regrets. Life becomes more peaceful because fewer unnecessary problems are created. Therefore, remember that many difficulties can be prevented simply by controlling the tongue. Not every situation requires explanation. Not every feeling requires expression. Not every discussion requires participation. Silence is often a protection from problems that words might create. A wise believer understands that fewer words often lead to fewer complications, greater clarity, and stronger peace of mind. 5. Silence is a sign of wisdom and taqwa extended. My dear brothers and sisters, silence is often misunderstood. Many people think silence means weakness, lack of knowledge, or inability to respond. But in reality, silence can be a powerful sign of wisdom, maturity, and strong faith. A person who has control over their tongue shows that they also have control over their emotions, their ego, and their reactions. This level of self-control is not easy to achieve. It requires awareness, patience, and sincerity. A wise person understands that not every thought needs to be spoken and not every situation requires a response. They understand that words are not just sounds, words carry consequences. Every sentence can either build something beneficial or create something harmful. Because of this understanding, a person with wisdom chooses carefully when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence becomes even more meaningful when it is connected with taqwa, the awareness that Allah is always watching and listening. A believer knows that every word is recorded. Nothing escapes accountability. Even casual speech has weight. Even small statements have value. This awareness encourages a person to think before speaking and to avoid useless or harmful talk. When a person develops taqwa, they become more conscious of how their speech affects others. They avoid gossip because they understand the damage it causes. They avoid unnecessary arguments because they understand the importance of peace. They avoid hurtful words because they know that hurting hearts is not pleasing to Allah. Silence in these situations becomes an act of obedience, an act of discipline, and an act of sincerity. Sometimes silence protects a person from saying something that may later bring embarrassment or regret. There are moments when emotions become strong and the desire to respond quickly becomes intense. But a wise person pauses. They allow the feeling to settle. They give themselves time to think clearly. This pause often prevents words that could have caused damage. A person with wisdom understands that silence can solve problems, that speech may worsen. In moments of disagreement, continuing to speak can increase tension. Each side tries to defend their position, and the conversation becomes more about winning than understanding. But when one person chooses silence, the situation often calms. Silence removes the fuel that keeps conflict alive. Silence also helps a person reflect more deeply. When there is less talking, there is more thinking. Reflection helps a person recognize their mistakes, understand their intentions, and improve their character. Constant talking can distract a person from self-awareness, but silence creates space for personal growth. A believer who practices silence in unnecessary matters often finds that their heart becomes more peaceful. There is less stress caused by arguments. There is less regret caused by careless speech. There is less mental burden caused by trying to explain everything to everyone. Silence simplifies the mind and creates clarity in thoughts. Wisdom also includes understanding that not every opinion must be shared publicly. Sometimes keeping thoughts private protects relationships. Not every disagreement needs to be expressed openly. Not every observation needs to be announced. Sharing every thought can create tension and discomfort, while selective speech maintains balance and respect. A wise person also understands the value of listening. Listening allows us to learn from others. Listening allows us to understand different perspectives. Listening allows us to recognize wisdom that may be hidden in simple words. A person who talks continuously limits their opportunity to learn. But a person who listens expands their understanding. Silence can also be a sign of humility. A humble person does not feel the need to show knowledge constantly. They do not try to prove themselves in every gathering. They understand that knowledge increases responsibility. They understand that wisdom grows with reflection, not with excessive speech. Taqwa encourages a person to avoid speech that has no benefit. Many conversations revolve around topics that do not improve understanding, do not bring peace, and do not create goodness. Engaging in such talk consumes time and energy without providing value. A believer becomes careful about how time is used because time is a trust that cannot be returned once lost. Sometimes silence is an act of patience. When a person hears something unpleasant, the immediate reaction may be to respond quickly. But patience allows a person to choose a better response, or sometimes no response at all. Not every criticism requires defense. Not every negative comment deserves attention. Silence in such moments protects dignity and shows strength. A person who develops wisdom through silence also becomes more observant. They notice details others may miss. They recognize patterns in behavior. They understand situations more deeply. This awareness helps them make better decisions because they have more information and clearer thinking. Silence also protects a person from becoming involved in matters that do not concern them. Many people experience stress because they involve themselves in conversations and issues that are not relevant to their responsibilities. By speaking less, a person naturally avoids unnecessary complications. When silence becomes part of a person's character, their speech becomes more meaningful, their words become more organized, their message becomes clearer. People begin to recognize that when this person speaks, there is benefit in listening. Wisdom does not mean avoiding communication completely. It means using communication responsibly. It means understanding the right time, the right place, and the right manner for speech. Sometimes speaking is necessary to clarify truth, defend justice, or help someone in need. Wisdom is knowing when speech is beneficial and when silence is better. A person with taqwa understands that the tongue can either elevate their character or harm it. Careless speech can lead to misunderstanding, conflict, and regret. Careful speech strengthens trust, builds respect, and spreads peace. Silence can also strengthen a person's connection with Allah. When unnecessary talk decreases, there is more space for remembrance, reflection, and gratitude. The heart becomes calmer because it is not constantly distracted by endless conversation. A peaceful heart allows a person to focus on what truly matters in life. Many wise individuals throughout history were known for speaking little but speaking with clarity. Their words were remembered because they were meaningful. Their advice was respected because it was thoughtful. Their silence showed depth of understanding. A person who speaks less often becomes more respected because others feel comfortable around them. People feel heard because they are given space to speak. Conversations become balanced rather than dominated. This creates stronger relationships built on mutual respect. Silence also protects secrets. Trust is easily broken when private information is shared unnecessarily. A trustworthy person understands the importance of protecting what is told to them in confidence. By speaking less, they maintain trust and preserve relationships. Practicing silence requires discipline. It is easy to speak impulsively, but it takes effort to pause and think. Over time, this effort becomes a habit, and the habit becomes part of character. A disciplined tongue reflects a disciplined mind. When silence is guided by wisdom and taqwa, it becomes a source of strength. It prevents mistakes, protects dignity, and increases respect. It allows a person to observe carefully, think deeply, and respond wisely. Silence does not reduce a person's value, it increases it. Silence does not make a person weak, it makes them stable. Silence does not hide intelligence, it reveals it through thoughtful speech. Therefore, remember that wisdom is not always loud. Wisdom is often calm. Wisdom is often patient. Wisdom is often quiet. A believer who controls their speech protects their character. A believer who chooses beneficial words increases their respect. A believer who practices silence when speech is unnecessary strengthens their connection with Allah. Silence guided by wisdom and taqwa becomes a powerful tool for personal growth, peaceful relationships, and strong character. It allows a person to move through life with dignity, clarity, and confidence, knowing that every word spoken carries meaning and every silence carries strength. My dear brothers and sisters, learning when to speak and when to remain silent is a sign of wisdom that changes the way people see you, and more importantly, the way Allah sees you. Words are powerful, but silence can be even more powerful when it protects your dignity, your peace, and your character. When you reduce unnecessary speech, your words gain value. When you control your tongue, your respect increases. When you choose silence over ego, your heart becomes stronger. Not every situation needs your reaction. Not every opinion needs your voice. Sometimes, the greatest strength is walking away with calmness and leaving the conversation with dignity. Remember, the tongue is small, but its impact is great. It can build your reputation or slowly damage it. Choose words that bring benefit. Choose silence when words bring no good. Choose patience when emotions try to control you. Because a wise believer does not speak to impress people, they speak with purpose and remain silent with wisdom. May Allah bless us with speech that brings goodness, hearts that remain humble, and silence that brings peace and dignity. And may Allah make our words a source of reward, not regret. Amen.